I'd like to invite you over for dinner. You're joking. No, I'm serious. But you can't cook. Actually, I've been learning and practicing. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Well, in that case, it'd be lovely to enjoy your cooking. Well, you shouldn't expect anything out of this world. You mustn't worry about me judging. It'll be fabulous. Okay, we're getting together around 6. There'll be 2 other friends there. Are you sure they'll be up for meeting me? They've been asking to meet you for a long time. In that case, I'll be there with bells on. Welcome to Breathe English. I am your host, Erica, and today we are talking about contractions and how to pronounce them. Don't forget
Contraction alert!
to hit subscribe and the like button, and thank you so much. Now let's get into it. What is a contraction?
My baby's on its journey.
Oh my god, alright.
Ooh, yikes. Another kind. But it is about bringing things together tighter. A contraction is a shortened form of a word or a group of words that omits or takes out certain letters or sounds. An apostrophe represents the omitted letters. Why do we use contractions? Well, contractions are commonly used in speech. Most native speakers speak using contractions. And we also use them in informal forms of writing, such as email or text to friends. In books, we want to portray how people actually speak, so we use contractions, or written interviews, or in advertising where space is very limited. In very formal writing, such as academic papers, grant proposals, cover letters, or other forms of writing that need to appear professional, you usually do not use contractions. So in spoken English, we rely on contractions all the time. When people speak to each other, it's usually expected that they speak using contractions. It's easier and it saves time, and it's just how most people speak these days. If people do not speak with contractions at all, it sounds...
I do not understand.
I do not know how to be any more clear.
It sounds old-fashioned or too formal or just weird. Are you ready to practice contraction pronunciation? I know I am. Contractions with B. I am. I'm. I'm waiting for my friend. You are. You're. You're joking. He is. He's. He's on the phone now. Or he has. Also, he's. He's been playing tennis since 9 this morning. She is. She's watching TV right now. Or she has. Also, she's. She's had a lot of practice speaking English. It is. It's snowing at the moment. And it has, also it's been a long time since we saw each other. We are, we're working hard to finish the album this week. They are, they're studying Spanish this afternoon. Contractions with will. I will, I'll see you tomorrow. You will, you'll be sorry. She will, she'll be at the meeting. He will, he'll be here tomorrow. It will, it'll It'll be here soon. We will. We'll. We'll. We'll begin when he arrives. They will. They'll. They'll. They'll finish soon. Contractions with have. I have. I've worked here for many years. You have. You've. You've been to London many times. We have. We've. We've been waiting for you. They have. They've. They've just purchased a new home. Contractions with have and would. So these both use apostrophe D. So just looking at the contraction, we're not sure what the apostrophe D is replacing. Is it have or would? I had. I'd better leave now. I would. I'd already eaten by the time he arrived. You had. You'd better hurry up. You would. You'd have gone to the party if I went. He had. He'd finished before the meeting began. And he would. He'd prefer to meet you later in the week. She had. She'd been working for 3 hours when he called. She would. She'd like to have a glass of wine. It had. It'd. I don't know why. It'd. This one's fun. It had been a long time since I'd seen him. It would. It'd. It'd be difficult to say no. We had. We'd better hurry up if we want to catch the train. We would. We'd like to book a hotel room. They had. They'd eaten their lunch when she stopped by to say hello. They would. They'd rather not come to the meeting. Contractions with there and that. There is. There's. There's a hotel in the next town. Or there has. There's been too many calls today. There will. There'll be a price to pay. There had. There'd better be a good explanation for this. There would. There'd. She said there'd be a snowstorm. That is. That's. That's been on my mind lately. And that has. That's. That's gotta hurt. That will. That'll happen sooner than you think. That had. That'd happened before my time. That would. That'd be the reason why. And negative contractions. Are not. Aren't. They aren't coming next week. Cannot. Can't. I can't understand you. Could not. Couldn't. He couldn't get his shoes on. Did not. Didn't. didn't. We didn't visit Boston. We went straight to New York. Does not. Doesn't. Doesn't. He doesn't ski. Do not. Don't. Don't. I don't like olives. Had not. Hadn't. Hadn't. I hadn't thought of that. Has not. Hasn't. Hasn't. She hasn't called yet. Is not. Isn't. Isn't. She isn't listening to you. Should not. Shouldn't. Shouldn't. You shouldn't smoke cigarettes. Was not. Wasn't. Wasn't. I wasn't joking when I said that. Were not. Weren't. Weren't. They weren't invited to the party. Will not. Won't. Won't. I won't be able to attend your wedding. Would not. Wouldn't. Wouldn't. She wouldn't be surprised if he lost his job. And a couple more. These are less common contractions. Must not. Mustn't. Mustn't. Children mustn't play with fire. Need not. Needn't. Needn't. You needn't worry about that. Whew, well, there you go. Contractions are difficult to pronounce. And don't worry if you don't use them, people will still understand you. But if you want to sound more like a native English speaker, I would practice these and use them as much as you can in your spoken English. Let me know in the comments what are the most difficult contractions for you to pronounce. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I'm Erica, this is Breathe English, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.